The headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016,
Sunny Hostin, by the way, this is probably the worst one. She is out of her mind.
we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry, not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have.
Man, she'll never make a point, though. She'll just go on and be outraged.
And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So again, I'm
What is she talking about?
profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States, then you should not be prevented from employment in this country, because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons.
Well,
and so that box.
By the way, all these outrage artists, that's all they are. They're actually, in a lot of ways, despicable people, because, like, I saw a clip earlier today. It's so disturbing. You can be sold in Afghanistan as a child to somebody else, just sold. And yet in America, oh, our rights are being taken away. Why don't any of these people who are just hysteria artists, like they want to be a social justice warrior, talk about there's real legitimate problems with regard to social justice happening all throughout the world, but they just complain about the countries that do it the absolute best.
Better be taken off. And I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion.
See, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's looking at a note. This is again, if you don't know about the economy, don't speak on it. You're just saying the economists say this, like they all agree with one another. It's completely false. And you can't project into the future. They do this with climate as well. Oh, the science is settled. This is going to be the climate in 2035. So let's react to it like that. Ridiculous.
I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps. And I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to
internment camps. This is not a serious person. Why are you on television, Sonny?
Prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was...
Oh my goodness. So sick of this. Stop doing that. It's not interesting to what you're saying. No one cares. Everyone can see you. Anyway.
So hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could...
Then you're just making it all about you. This stuff is getting gross.
...be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
So profound.
You know, I think it has to do with a lot of things, that being one of them. I'm obviously very disappointed. I'm very sad. I was at the Kamala Harris headquarters yesterday in Washington, and it was a very sad scene. The mood turned immediately, and
this woman wants you to think she's a Republican, by the way. She always brings that up. She's a Republican, but she disagrees with them on everything.
I tell you, there's a quote I get a lot of inspiration from, and it's a quote that I read when I was reading about John F. Kennedy, and it says, "Whether I am on the winning or the losing side is not the point with me. It is being on the side where my sympathies lie that matters." And that, to me, brought me a consolation and inspiration this morning, because I have no regrets.
Yep.
I worked hard as hell to elect the first Black Asian woman president. History slipped through our fingers again. I worked hard as hell for Donald Trump not to be president.
So she's making this all about her. Just me, 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 me.
But today, unlike Donald Trump and his followers, I acknowledge that he won. I hope for the best for our country, and I make a commitment to our LGBTQ, to our immigrants, to our elderly, to our young girls, to the women, that we will not stop fighting. We can be sad today. Today we can be sad. Tomorrow was red.
So that last little part, for the most part, I actually think that's one of the more sensible things I've heard from Ana Navarro, basically wishing that the country does well. That's probably the most sensible thing I've heard from her in a while. So props to her, I guess, for that. Now, this is a few days later. The View is not over it yet.
Agree.
All right.
I think that I'd like to reframe the conversation. I think Bernie Sanders is wrong. I think the more relevant question actually is, what is wrong with America?
Like, this woman is out of her mind. How can ABC just keeps putting her on? This is so funny.
I think what is wrong with our country, that the Republican Party would choose as a candidate and support a candidate who is an insurrectionist, who is an election denier, who is someone who was twice impeached, 34-time convicted felon.
Look at her smirk. She's so proud of herself for saying all this.
Someone who has been accused of alleged sexual misconduct by 26 women, found liable for sexual abuse. What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny over...
Those words are like their rap album for people that are just political commentators. Xenophobia, sexism, racism, blah, blah, blah.
A message of inclusiveness, a message for the people, by the people, of the people. That is what the problem is. It's the Republican Party.
But can
what's wrong with America?
Something before we can do a second? The Democrats.
And that other person is not a fan of Trump either, but she basically brought up that he won the popular vote. Mostly the View just all sits there and agrees with each other on Trump derangement syndrome. Maybe going forward, it'll stop. But the View is the funniest thing on television right now because they live in their own little world.
Are the ones, they are the party that cares for the blue collar
Exactly.
voter. The Democrats are the ones who put in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, union protection,
ACA,
unemployment insurance, and Obamacare.
Well, the Republican Party under Trump right now is clearly the party addressing the issues of the working class right now. Democrats don't even know what they say. Kamala couldn't even say how she'd be different than Biden. What is a blue collar worker supposed to interpret that as? She just doesn't know what she's going to do. Trump has real policies and he gives a real vision, obviously.
The Republican Party doesn't give a rat's patootie about
clearly
it.
they didn't convince the voters of
So all I can deduce...
Democrats raise double the amount of money from rich people, but okay.
All I can deduce is that it's the messaging. It didn't get through to people. They're not paying attention.
There was no messaging. There was none. She didn't do interviews for multiple weeks when she first was running, even though she had a short amount of time. She didn't tell anybody anything. She went on these podcasts, couldn't say how she was different than Joe Biden. She'd give we're going to have maybe a housing tax credit. All of her policy prescriptions were very narrow.
That's all.
Yeah,
because the Democrats have always been for the working people.
Exactly. And the Republicans don't care about
I think
it.
that the message of the Democrats sounded elitist. You don't have value in the society.
They
if you don't have a
sounded
college
that way,
degree.
but when you look at the proof,
yeah,
they weren't.
but Joy, it's condescending. It's condescending. There is a
condescending.
See, Joy just doesn't know at all what is she even saying? The Democrats are for the working people. Don't people get that?
the way that the left speaks to its voters. It really is.
A message of joy and inclusiveness?
No, the message of not being educated, being dumb, and what's wrong with America.
Who said that?
Sunny just did.
What is wrong with
Joy.
America?
My point here is that
that's not what Kamala Harris said.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
My point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. Go back as far as you want. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't blame the Republican Party
Can I just
at
finish
all?
my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In sweeping...
So they need to be introspective.
No, we need to be introspective.
Sonny. Yeah, they have a lot of problems. They should fix all of them. I have to do nothing. No, I'm not introspecting. I'm not looking inside. I'm correct 100% of the time. Like, Sonny is just out of her mind.
perspective, if we voted for Kamala Harris, we need to say what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform. Yeah. When they said we're worrying about, can I just finish? Let me just finish real quickly. When they were focused on renaming,
only an hour show, ladies.
Joy, when they were focused on renaming schools, there were people saying, hey, students are destroying colleges. I paid for that. I sent them there. They can't learn. And everyone apologized for it and didn't want to attend to it. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, 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 it's fine. This is not a...
There was a border bill, though. There was a border bill.
Yes, but
See, they don't even want her to talk. They don't even want her to bring up the other side. The View, the people that are like the hosts of this View, do they realize everybody else has the internet that's watching this show? It's not like even probably their most intense supporters can watch other shows. It's not like Sarah, I think her name is, bringing up Republican talking points is going to like shatter their brains. Everybody has other shows they can watch.
Joy, my point is they screamed and screamed and screamed. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
But Sarah,
the majority of this country, because every stat
How do you know that? These people are crazy.
coming out on the people willing to self-reflect are showing these.
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and a misogynist in the exit poll?
You really think 74 million people are racist?
Who's gonna say that?
Every racist and misogynist voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category in the.
That's also just like a categorically insane comment. Everybody's a racist or misogynist voted one way. What the heck?
The reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time. Yeah.
Look,
they lost everything.
There's still half the country that doesn't agree with
environment to
him.
be ravaged, its children to be shot, its wealth to be hoarded, its workers to be exploited, its poor to starve, its cops to murder.
So you think America's the
country
problem?
in trouble?
So America's
So
the
we go
problem
to
and
the
the
Trump is
voters
not
are
going
the
to make it
problem.
better.
Anna, hold it for the next segment, right? We'll be right back. Hold it. Yeah.
I don't even know what Sonny was talking about at the end there. So then watch. This is a recent clip. Actually, we'll go to this one first because I want to just quickly touch on this.
You know, I often wonder because it's when you look, transgender Americans, less than 1% of American adults identify as transgender.
Right. Yeah.
And when you add in youth who identify as transgender, that number comes to just about 1.4. It is estimated that there are no more than 100 transgender athletes competing in public schools nationwide, and an Associated Press investigation found that lawmakers proposing bans on trans athletes in school sports could not cite a single instance of these athletes taking championships.
So that's obviously ridiculous. Like the major one that we know about is Leah Thomas. That was a huge story. People come on Megyn Kelly's show sometimes, explain how, oh, this person was in the male division, they transitioned, they come to the women's division, and now they're beating all of us. The only way that would be true is if you just totally ignore or somehow try to disqualify all the cases of that actually happening, of like somebody taking away medals, which there's been so much data now online. You can easily look that up. That does happen. People do win medals over biological women. The View doesn't care about that. And the other comment just that, oh, it's so rare that people shouldn't care about it. No other issue is dealt like that. Like if your car gets broken into or something, or you're afraid of that, the answer to that is, oh, well, it's pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often. It probably won't happen again. So no big deal. Almost no other issue is dealt with like that. The argument a lot of people on the left are saying, like John Oliver, Jen Psaki, etc., is, oh, this is such a rare thing. It's not that big of a deal, so don't worry about it. No other issues dealt like with that. What if you told that to women about the abortion issue? Well, you probably won't have an abortion, so no big deal. Don't worry about it. I don't understand how they can make that logic. It's hilarious. One more clip here before we're done. This is very recently, and again, Sonny Hostin taking a huge L.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
Okay, Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations.
Look at her smug face.
Calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism.
that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
Like, what a child. She actually literally acting like a 10-year-old child that's got like a timeout. Meh, 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 meh. Anyway, I'll finish the video here. The View, they're going to keep melting down probably. Their show's actually comedy at this point. Their entire show is so detached from reality, even when those other two people who I'm pretty sure they don't like Trump at all, I believe Sarah and Alyssa are their names, I think, they're kind of trying to bring up, well, maybe they voted for Trump because of this, maybe because of this. They just like, the other hosts of The View do not want to hear that. It's so funny. They're bringing up pretty sensible things, and they're just getting shut down. So anyway, I'll finish the video here. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.